Okay, so this is just my little canvas that I do these little demos on. These swatches that you see here are actually my demos for how to do highlights and shadows, which will actually take place tomorrow. So what I'm going to show you how to do is first some of these netted or textile details. So these are just two different kinds. Depending on what you guys have, you guys will create one that matches your shoe the best. The shoe that I'm going to be looking at is this one right here. Okay, so I've got this stuff right here. I've got a lot of this kind of really brightly colored thread there, and then I also have a texture like right here, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. That kind of looks almost spotted or dotted. So I'm going to show you how to kind of do this and this. This is something that may need something a little different to do. So to do this, what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to make it simple, I'm not going to, ideally I would use this gray color. I would do a light gray, but for this demo and this board, I chose a lighter color. So basically what you guys are going to use, this matte medium. So this stuff will be over there by the paint, okay? And basically what this is, a medium, it changes the characteristic of your paint. So what this stuff is going to do is it's going to make your paint transparent without making it too watery, so that when you paint it down on your canvas, it doesn't just drip off. By using this, it's still like paint. So it's going to be not as thick as the paint that you use right now. It's going to be a little bit more fluid, so you'll actually find it probably easier to paint with. Whenever I do acrylic painting, I always mix a few drops of this with my paint before I use it anyways, just because I don't like how thick acrylic paint is in general. So I use just enough to kind of make it more fluid and not thick. But if you mix a lot of this with your paint, it's going to make it transparent. I've got some right here, okay, so it looks white, but it's actually, it dries clear, so it's not going to give you that white color. And this is that unbleached titanium color, and again, I'm only using that because of the colors that I have on this demo board. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by taking, I think I've already put about 2 scoops of medium right there. I'm going to add probably do like 4. And then what I'm going to do is take just a small amount. Again, when you're mixing paint, you start with your lightest and you add your darkest to it, and in this scenario, the medium is going to be always the lightest because it's transparent. I'm just going to take a small amount, I don't know if you can see, that's better to see, just a small amount of that unbleached titanium, and I'm going to mix it in with this medium. And again, what that medium is going to do is it's just going to make my paint color transparent. So it's going to allow whatever's underneath to still show through a little bit. Just a little bit more. But because I'm doing this netted fabric, I do want something a little bit more fluid and not so thick, so it's easier to paint with. So it's not important to me that it's transparent. More important that it's easier to paint with. All right, so I've got that mixed in. I'm going to test a little bit of it here. I'll get another scoop. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you guys here. So I'll show you how to do sort of this netted looking fabric. So you've got to decide when you do this just how far apart you need your lines to do. This is basically cross hatching. So the more spread out it's going to look, the chunkier it's going to look, the closer it's going to look, the finer mesh it's going to give it. So you just need to kind of play around with it. Feel free to play around within your sketchbook if you want to. Basically, when you do this, and there's something that you'll notice on your shoe is that because this fabric is on a form, it's not going to be all nice and straight. So you want to actually start by just kind of identifying one line and just see where it starts and where it ends and how that line sort of bends and moves according to the form. That's going to make your shoe even look more three-dimensional, so it's helpful. So when I do this, I'm just going to, again, I'm going to find one line to start with. I'm just going to basically follow it. I'm going to follow it wherever it needs to go. need to add a little bit more paint to this. So if your paint color looks too transparent, all you need to do is add more paint color to it, actual acrylic color. So the more medium you have mixed with your paint color, the more transparent it'll look. And so this is how you can make it look like that mesh or netted fabric is on top of a form. You got to take note of how it bends, grooves with the form of the shoe. So you paint down, just kind of do one particular set of lines, and then after you're done with that, then you can start doing the other set. And again, you want to pay attention to how those lines are curving up and down or dipping up and down according to the form. You just kind of do it like that. And before you know it, you're done with it. It doesn't really take that long to do. Once you get your paint mixture the way that you want it, you can even see too that it's not really all that consistent, but it actually kind of looks cool, I think, because of that. So I wouldn't even make it such a big deal that, you know, your paint looks all the same. It's kind of nice to have different variations of it. So that's how you're going to do sort of that netted or mesh looking fabric. Now this right here, I would do a version of that for this section right here because it looks more spotted to me, or almost polka dotted. And again, that's just all about size and shape of the dots that you would make. This particular one looks pretty fine. So again, what I would do is just start, find a set to start with, and then just follow it. And then just kind of keep going, plugging it in. And doing something like that. And again, I wouldn't make such a big deal out of the variations and how the color is going down. Some of it might look more opaque than others. Some might look more transparent, but I think it would kind of add to the look. So I could do that, you know, and then of course anybody who's got something chunkier could do something like that, bigger lines like this. So, you know, it just all depends on what your shoe needs. So that's basically how you would do those different textile details like this stuff, like all that mesh fabric. Now for the stitching, okay, for the stitching, what we're going to do is something really easy, okay? We're not going to actually paint that on. So we're not going to paint that stuff on at all. What we're going to do is we're going to use colored pencils for that. So what I've got here is just a few different colors. Got black, this lavender gray, white, and yellow. It all depends on what color your base is and what color your thread is. So, you know, for example, if I have like a lot of contrast, you know, I might need to grab white, and all that you're going to do is just use that, and you're just going to draw those stitching lines along those edges of those sections and paint it on like that. So that's with whites. See, this will be black. This won't show up too much. That's not going to show up too much. Here's the lavender gray. So again, it just depends on what color you need to have. This is yellow. But colored pencil actually goes over really well with on top of acrylic paint. And this is also too, I'd use colored pencils too for anybody who has like text on their logo. So like a lot of the Converse shoes, you know, they have the star and they have Converse kind of wrapped around it. I would use these colored pencils to do all the text. If you've got text on any of your labels, like this one right here, I've got Nike here on the tongue of the shoe, I would use colored pencil for that. And you can still paint over it too. So, all right, so that's how I would do those details. That'll be the next step after you get the base of all your colors painted down. So that's it. There you go.